How we doing, boys and girls? You won't see me, but I'm a little bit muddy. You can't really see it on here. I was thinking I must rush in because I'm doing a live with my friend Prash right now. I've just finished my boot camp. I'm going to have my friend Prash on. How do I bring him on? I've just finished my boot camp. About tonight. You read my tagline? You're looking very smart and dapper, young man. I was just saying, I've just come in from my boot camp, and you can't see it, but the bottom half of me is covered in mud. But I look great in the top half. It's like those news reporters or the weatherman. You know, you always see them sitting down at the desk. They could have a tracksuit on underneath.
And then you see more right. Absolutely.
So, hello, Marie Louise Perry. Hello, Ian Hodges. What do you know? So, the tagline today. What keeps you up at night? I've had many sleepless nights, or actually, in recent years, I actually go to bed pretty much all right. I've trained myself. I'm fast forwarding. I'm running. I'm hitting the ground running. Prash. I'm sorry. I've gone straight from walking to running because I will regress back to what keeps you up at night. I've learned how to get to sleep because what I know the most important thing we need to do more than anything is sleep. So what heals us. And when you can't sleep, I was just doing my boot camp outside in the park, and it was raining, mud, brilliant. I was watching people training, and it's been a hard graft to try and convince people to get outside in the wet and the cold. But I see them all happy faces, and it's wonderful because there's something about being outside. Why am I saying that? Is because it makes you happy. It lowers your stresses, and that is. I've gone really off topic here. Why? I've learned how to relax myself, and sleep is a great way of regenerating and energizing yourself. Another way is getting outside with Mother Nature, being happy. And so I've learned all these biohacks on how to live a more prosperous, healthy life. And I need to regenerate. I need to get into that deep state of relaxation so I can heal. So we do that with meditation. I do that with sleep. But coming back on topic, hello, Don Clovis. Hello, Tom Davies. Hello, Jude. I wake up at about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and the demons, I call them, come and visit me, and they so I get to sleep all right. So I get some good deep sleep. I'm sure I do, but then I still have unresolved. It's just because I'm learning how to regenerate and heal. It doesn't mean I haven't got my shit going on, because I've got a lot of shit going on. I will get to sleep, but the thing is, okay, people often say sleep on it. So I've got all these problems, and I'm like, okay, I need to, right now, I can't deal with that. I need to actually just shut down, and I use mantra therapy. I've got all sorts of YouTube videos, chanting, that get me into deep level of relaxation. And meditation is great, but the problems are still there. So I still have to go and deal with them at some point. It's not like waving a magic wand. Well, it is a bit like waving a magic wand. There's a bit of both. But at the same time, I still actually need to go and deal with, that person knocking on my door for the money, or the person who wants to come and chop my head off. You can't just ignore certain things. So that's my demons come to me at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'd like to have more peaceful sleep. I'm trying to ask you, in your humble opinion, is that always going to happen? Because
no, it's not.
I'm getting to sleep, and I'm realizing I need to sleep, and rather than not being able to sleep, so I'm getting some deep sleep, and then I'm waking up about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And hasten to add, I've turned a negative into a positive. Since I've been getting up earlier and earlier, And Nicola, my partner, is almost saying, you need to relax. You're going 24/7 miles an hour on everything.
Right.
And you're like, I struggle to switch off. So that's where the meditation and going outside, training is for me is meditation. Going outside, and I mean, I was a trainer, I was teaching a boot camp, but just seeing people in the rain, in the cold, it's horrible. Naturally, you don't want to do that. But when you get out there and you're getting involved with the mud, like I was saying, the lower half of my body's covered in mud, you can't see it. It's happy. It's great.
Right.
What do kids do? You play. We need to play, and we don't do that. I've talked a lot. Talk to me. What do you think?
So I think certainly you spoke a lot of truths there, man. But let me say this: in all the years of coaching people, and even talking and delivering in corporations, right, working with executives in the city, when they start to open up about fears that grip them, you'll be surprised at how quote unquote silly or trivial the fear is when you start going and deconstructing what the fear is. And what people need to realize is the things that keep them up at night, the things that can keep us up at night, whether it be finances, a relationship issue, whether it's our health, emotional or physical health, whether it's a regret or something we did bad, any of these categories of things invariably have a deeper cause. And what we're trying to do is, many of us either want to do one or two things. We either try and mask that fear by doing something else. So we distract ourselves from the fear, right? Or what happens is, instead of distracting, we try and suppress it. So we just don't want it to come up. It's coming up. Our intuition is telling us, we feel it in our gut, but we're not giving it air to breathe. And what happens is we're not giving it time to breathe. It's like a child. If you tell a child, don't touch that thing, don't do this, what are they going to invariably do? Probably do more. They're going to rebel. If you don't give a child a chance to just let loose, then they're just going to bottle it up and then just become a really terrible person to deal with, right? And so it is with our fears. If we don't give them the chance to be aired in a structured way, because there's a difference, right? There's one thing letting our fears consume us, right?
Yeah.
And us being ruled by our fears. And I think you kind of alluded to that there. But it's another thing allowing our fears to have a controlled space.
I was just watching that new film, Gemini Man, with Will Smith as a younger version of him.
Hey, yeah.
Have you seen it?
No, I've not yet.
For those of you who haven't seen it, right, basically, he's a trained badass killer, and they tried to develop a new, improved version. There's several clones of him. And the younger version is... brain's gone blank. What was I saying about Gemini Man? Fear. Talking about fear. And he was saying how fear is a really good tool. Learn to be scared. And I know as a fighter, the fear, the Rocky says, I love a Rocky quote, is in Rocky 4, where he's training a younger champion. And he's saying, I'm scared. I'm not ready, Rock. And the guy's Bobby.
Yeah. Rocky 5. I know it. I love it. The guy who takes him down to the basement.
Frankie Fear, he's your friend. And then he...
Yeah.
So why I'm saying that, fear it can be a powerful tool to make you operate and achieve great things. But I guess, and there's a time, I mean, before every single fight, why am I doing this? I don't want to be here. Why? Yeah. I mean, it's like, even when I know I'm talking, yeah, you do want to be here. I'm coaching myself continually after my 5th toilet visit, and I'm going to the toilet, nothing's coming out. Like, you're always going to have fear.
I think, for sure. And the thing is,
and it's learning to make it your friend, like Rocky says. Yeah, make it your friend. But it can be. There are also times when I remember my I'm going to name and shame him. My accountant mucked up, and it looks like I was going to be in big dodgy doodah. I was like, I haven't got this money to pay this tax bill, and I'm like, I had a sleepless 2 nights, and I think this is where I'm interested in your opinion here. Sometimes a sleepless night is warranted, because of that sleepless night, I couldn't stop thinking. I was turning over every stone, and I found the answer. And I phoned my accountant up, I don't remember. It was about 5-6 years ago. And I said, look, you missed this, this, and this. Alex, I'm really sorry. You're absolutely right. So that sleepless night, that's when a fear is a positive thing.
Yeah.
Listen, if someone steals your kids, Madeleine McCann, that situation, you're going to, there's a point where you need the fear and that to drive you, but there's going to be two sides to that.
Yeah.
In an emergency situation, you need to operate, and you need that fear. But if for a long-term thing, I mean, this is a really horrible thing I've just brought up. It just came to the top of my head. Madeleine McCann. I'm sure their parents, they're going to have to. They can't keep going over what possible horrible atrocities have happened to their little girl, because that would just destroy them.
That would just destroy them.
If it hasn't already. So that's the thing. I mean, would that keep you up at night? I'm sure it would. I've got friends, close friends, who I've lost 4 friends to suicide, and I've got other friends who I've talked them out of it, to suffer from PTSD because they've witnessed such horrible things. So they're kept up by demons.
Right. So this is an important point. Again, what you've just mentioned about people whose fear takes the worst consequence, right? They take their own lives. Like, that's probably, if you look at the end conclusion, either they're harming somebody else because of their fears, or they're harming themselves and taking their own lives. Ultimately, that's the worst that could happen. And why that's going on is because we haven't learned as a society to have a powerful and pragmatic mechanism to allow ourselves to air those fears, for those fears to be aired. And part of coaching people, part of this intervention process, and listen, I'm going to probably piss off a lot of coaches by saying this. I don't even like this framework of just the traditional coaching methodology where you just say stuff and get them to figure out their own answers. Sometimes you've got to be able to roll your damn sleeves up, get into somebody's head and help them to get out of their own head. And sometimes you've got to be hard, and sometimes you've got to give this advice. So every single opportunity we have to be each other's coaches, right? Right now, folks, you're tuned in. You may have somebody in your life. You may have somebody who you can trust, and you sit down with them and you say, look, I've got this fear. It's been gripping me for a while, and I want to talk through this fear with you to see if it really holds weight and whether it's legitimately worth, the airtime, the mental bandwidth that I'm giving it, the emotional bandwidth that I'm giving it, or maybe can I diminish that fear? And so by having this kind of dialogue, you can start to loosen the grip that fear has on you. At the same time, and I'm mindful of time on this live, it's absolutely spot on what you said, that fear isn't to be seen as evil. Fear is to be seen as a friend in certain scenarios, because that's what our reptilian brain is. And Alex, I know you're big on this, talking about this, right? Our reptile brain, fight or flight. So it's important to be able to embrace a certain amount of fear because it's healthy for us, but we don't want it to rule us. Unfortunately, as a society, we haven't been taught those mechanisms. And when we talk about mantra therapy, when we're talking about urban spirituality, what we're doing on our retreats, and obviously, geez, we're less than 2 weeks away from our retreat. What we do is we talk about bringing in tools and strategies that we can use to help deal with this in a practical way, stuff that we can do at home, stuff that we can do without feeling embarrassed, and a safe space where we can do that. And here's the magic. Once you confront a fear and give it that controlled space to breathe and let it up, either alone or with a friend or somebody you trust, and you can do it for them too, by the way, what happens is that fear loosens its grip. And as the volume of that fear goes down, you start to recognize that actually the worst thing that could happen by facing this fear and doing the thing anyway is actually not that bad. And it's what you said, going out in the cold, nobody wants to do it. But when you're out, you warmed up, hey, it's not so bad. So try and extrapolate that is what I'm saying, folks. That's my coaching advice. Extrapolate it into your own lives. Think of an area in your life where you're procrastinating, where you're scared. You're scared to pick up the phone and deal with that relationship. You're scared to handle that finance thing. You're scared to do whatever it is. Tell your boss that you're unhappy in your job, whatever it is. If you really sit down and give that fear space to breathe, you'll actually realize more often than not, it's not as big a thing as you thought it was. And that starts giving you the momentum to start to face that fear.
And the thing is, though, you become also, and I think we can make fears comfortable. we can power them.
Yeah, disempower them.
To make them, but that could be a bad thing. Do you know why? I was just thinking about this, because the things that wake me up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, those nagging things that I've been putting off, I'm like, it's not so bad.
Right.
I can deal with that. And I don't know what it is at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. My true higher self has clarity. It's like, excuse my language, fuck you, Reid. You're being a dick. You got to sort that shit out, mate.
Right.
And
right.
I'm like, hey, you're right, Reid. I'm talking to myself.
Right.
My higher
Right.
self.
Right.
And I'm like, I've like, that's not such a big deal. You don't need to sort that out. Basically, you could live your life. I mean, you're not making enough money. You've got bills to pay. You're not doing what you should. You could work a little bit harder and achieve more, but you play it safe.
Right.
Because one, of fear, and two, because it's too scary. I'm not good enough. But you've got to push yourself. And the person I am, I've always tried to push myself. So what I'm saying is, those fears, you can like depower.
Right.
And like, yeah, it's not a big deal. It's, you know, and just lead a mediocre life, and that's okay if that's what you want. But, but then I don't think it is, because you will get at some point, unless you're. I have to wonder, people who seem to be content with very little, are they really content? Today, I'm not saying that. I mean, some of the poorest people in the world, in the most hardships, they seem happy, and I'm not talking about happiness. I'm talking about in our surroundings. You see your neighbour having a bit more than you, and you're like, hang on, it's not about greed. It's great that they've got more, but I see they're working hard. Maybe if I worked a bit harder, I could get a bit more of that, and that's doable. You can can be inspired by other people, but you're lazy, so you don't do it. But then I'm sure these people who do that, they have inner demons that come to them and talk bad things to them, and they start a negative pattern. It spirals and spirals and spirals, because they've de-escalated the fear.
And so you rightly say, and as we just said a little while ago, there are scenarios where you want that fear to be there. You know, it's like when you're training hungry. For those of you guys, obviously, like Alex, who are into your physicality and training, you know, they have that phrase, train hungry, stay hungry. So there is that thing that you want to keep a little bit of fear to keep you keen, to keep you on your toes, but it has to be controlled. That is to say, you need to be able to make a determination. The wise man or the wise woman knows which fears to allow to be kept close by with a little bit of volume, just to keep us right, versus the fears that we actually need to diminish and disempower. And that's an art, my friends. That is an art, to learn to be able to disempower the fears that are holding you back, and yet take and harness the fears that are actually going to help you, right? You know, those fears, they're going to say, and here's a great example. Sometimes when you're in a situation where fear is holding you back from doing something, going through with something, or walking away from something, whatever it is, exactly as Alex said, you can use fear as a friend in that scenario by asking yourself, well, what's the pain? What's the ill consequence that's going to happen if I remain in this inactive state? If I don't act through on that situation, if I don't go through with this situation, if I don't walk away from that, if I don't break through this fear, what's the worst that could happen? And if you start to looking at what's going to happen if you don't take action, then you're starting to build fear around not taking action, which will then be loud enough to hopefully project you or propel you into taking action. That's the way to do that.
Yeah. So me and Prash, in just under 2 weeks, on the 15th to the 17th, we're running our first joint retreat together. We've run a few before, but in the UK, our first joint retreat in the UK, we've always run them abroad. In Harlow, Essex, Carbon Retreats.
That's it.
It's Friday afternoon to Sunday afternoon. We're going to be talking about all these sort of things, and it's a mind, body, and spirit rejuvenation retreat. A retreat where you can come and take stock of your life if you're having all sorts of challenges in terms of Well, Prash, you talk. Tell me, why would you come on my retreat?
3 great reasons. There are so many reasons, but let me give you 3.
Of course, you got me, and I'm brilliant, and you got the wonderful Prash. But
You've got.
if I'm not an Alex Reid fan or a Prash fan, why would you come on Alex and Prash's retreat?
Well, interestingly, obviously, and you know this, Alex, 60%, maybe 60% of the people who come on the retreats that I've been running for the past 10 years are new faces. They don't know me necessarily, but they've come out of faith, out of recommendation, out of a referral. And that's the beauty of what we do. But 3 good reasons, other than you being there. Number 1, a safe space with empowered tools to help you. It's one thing having empowered tools like some training course or some other useful stuff at your fingertips. It's another thing having a safe space which is conducive to assimilate that. So it's a safe space. Number 1, a safe space with empowered tools. Secondly, like-minded people who are coming to better themselves from different walks of life. So it's a diverse group of people. It's a handful of people. It's a small and intimate group. And what happens is that they become mirrors to help you to bring out the best in yourself. That's the second great reason. You can't create this on a holiday with random people. You can't create this even on a family holiday because your family are too close to you. To be around the company of people who you don't know. If you've ever been on an ayahuasca ceremony and felt the love. So the second reason is the community that's there, that space that they help to create, that supportive space. And thirdly, it's what's on offer, the things that we do, the way we've structured the retreat where it's not all yoga, it's not all woo-woo, it's not all fitness and fighting, but it's a unique blend of these 3 things to help us stretch our mind, body, and spirit, which is why we call it a fitness retreat of the mind, body, and spirit. That's what makes it.
I just don't want to scare people to think that you're coming on martial arts badass ninja killing retreat. I will be teaching some martial arts, but I use it as a metaphor, as I've said many times. Mr. Miyagi training Daniel's son, when he's doing wax on, wax off, or doing a mundane, monotonous task, it's a form of meditation to clear your mind. Absolutely. And there's all sorts of underlying principles that I'll be using. Now, I'm just going to cut back. I'm going to be Joe Blogg's tosspot who's thinking, all right, Prash, mate, all right, okay. But what do I actually get? Why would what sort of people would benefit from this retreat? I mean, just who should come on this retreat? If I, it's quite. What do you reckon?
Okay, let me cap this session off with an answer to that. Firstly, you should not come on this retreat if you're wanting to play at the same level that you're at. Don't bother. Don't waste your time. Don't waste ours. I'm sorry for it to be harsh, but it's just the way it is. If you want to remain and play life, live life at the surface level and be in the place that you are, hear a lot of wisdom and a lot of knowledge, but don't do anything about it, don't bother coming on the retreat. If you're looking to get awesome at yoga and become an incredible martial artist, don't bother. If you're coming, however, to better yourself, to challenge yourself, to be open to be challenged in a controlled, in a caring, in a supporting way, not too gentle, not too harsh. If you're prepared to let your comfort zones be stretched just a little bit more than you can handle, then you're in the right space. That's why you should come to this retreat. And you can be 25 or you can be 55. Hell, Alex, you know that in Hungary, a month ago, we had people as young as 25, as old as 60 on the first retreat. So you know how this rolls. So you're welcome. Age is not a barrier. Race, religion, culture, atheism, whatever. It doesn't matter. But those are your...
Oh, no, it does matter. An open mind.
Open mind.
With a willingness to share and learn.
Absolutely.
And if you might not be able to share, and you might not, but as long as you want to, at some point, and you want to learn, that's all we ask for.
Yeah, absolutely. And Alex, thank you. On that note, you've just put the link down. So folks, the link is in this window. And I think, Alex, just by extension, even if you can't make this retreat, folks, Penny, thanks, you chimed in. Appreciate you can't make this one. Please share this with somebody who you think can benefit. If you know somebody who could relate to what we've been discussing, who's going through a tough time and who wants to make that next step in their life, emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially, and they're blocked, they're at an impasse. Fear or some other thing is holding them back. Share this with them because we can help them, we can benefit them in their lives. The link is here. Alex, for the next 3 people who respond, I'd love to try and give them that special offer that we extended last time. So we will extend something very special for the next 3 people who reach out to us, but private message us. And also please put your primary reason for wanting to come. That's really important. If you can message us with a great reason why you want to come, the first 3 people who we pick, we're going to do something really special for you. So just get in touch.
I just want to leave you with this. I find it quite interesting, the different people that come on watch these lives, and I thank you. It's so diverse. I've got my old sergeant major from the paras. I've got someone who's a bit nefarious from the gangster world. I've got martial artists. I've got teachers. I've got headmasters. I've got lawyers. We've got every single. I've got religious people. It's great. We're all coming together. Yes.
Love it. Big love, guys.
Love you all, guys. Cheers, guys.
Share the live, put some comments and share this stuff. The more we share, the more people can benefit. Listen, media are sharing all kinds of shizzle on us and brainwashing us. This kind of stuff is what's needed. Take the red pill, folks. Share this stuff. Alex, big love, bro. Get some dinner. Maybe some vegan food too.
We're pescatarian, but we're going vegan. We're slowly introducing.
Slowly is the way.